Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Dani, and today Great.com talks with Sebastian Roca, the founder and CEO of Micro Rainbow. If you haven't heard of it, Micro Rainbow's mission is to create opportunities for LGBTQ plus people to fulfill their potential in life and create innovative models for social change that are sustainable, scalable, and replicable. If you're new here to this podcast, remember to subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Now, hi, Sebastian, and welcome.
Hi, Danny. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure. I cannot hide my excitement to have like LGBT organizations in this podcast finally. Honestly. And I am really looking forward for this conversation because I always say this, we talk before recording, right? And in our talk, I said that you guys are working in such an interesting niche, right? Working with such an important topic. And I don't think we all, again, including myself in this, we know what is behind these challenges. But before addressing this, let's learn more about origins, right? What motivated the creation of Micro Rainbow? I think it would be wonderful to hear it from you.
Thank you, Danny. Yes, this might require 3 or 4 podcasts, but I'll give you the short version so that we don't get people to fall asleep. So when I created my career, that was about 12 years ago, and I had a big dream in life and a big passion as well. My passion is for equality of LGBTQI people everywhere. And my dream was to create a new model for social change that could be scalable, replicable, and sustainable. In my previous lives, I worked in many other organizations around the world, and what I was witnessing was that the LGBTQI movement can be very fragile. A lot of organizations are small and rely on donations, which means that when there are external shocks like governments that change their priorities or donors that change their agenda, what that means is that a lot of LGBTQI organizations might have to shrink or even close down. And that causes a fragmentation in the LGBTQI movement in terms of not having ongoing advocacy efforts being made and a lot of work around lobbying being lost. So really, my dream was wouldn't it be wonderful if I could create an organization that can be both for LGBTQI equality, but also have a model that can be sustainable over time and beyond my lifetime? And that is Micro Rainbow.
I love that you bring all of these things because the fact that it's something that you notice in your experience, like the fragility of organizations, the fragility of the movement, and it's something that is so important that you put it on your mission statement. I think it really, really says a lot about your commitment and your vision on what you're doing, especially when we're talking about refugees or people trying to make their lives in other places. Because I think, and this is the moment when you're gonna educate myself, but I think it must be really hard to like have a continuum of life once you move away from your home. Not just because of the displacement itself that could be traumatizing, but also you're integrating a new culture now, right? You're making a new life in a place that you have never been before with people that you don't know. So this would be my imaginary. And considering all of this that you just mentioned, how hard it would be to have what would be the best word for this? Maybe because I it comes sustainable, that's the word. A sustainable life uh on the long term. So considering this my perspective, but also what you have seen, what are like these main challenges? Why is so important to focus on LGBTQI refugees and asylum seekers and even other marginalized individuals all around the globe?
I think you summarized it beautifully, Danny. We just need to remember that there are more than 60 countries around the world where being yourself is illegal. In several countries, for being LGBTQI, you could face the death penalty. In many other countries, there is imprisonment, there's torture, there's lashes, and that's just because of who you are and who you love. So those who are lucky enough that can escape those countries, and I'm talking about countries like Uganda, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and even countries like Brazil and South Africa, countries that have very good legislation for LGBTQI people, violence is still very high. And in Brazil, for example, there is a murder every 17 hours of an LGBTQI person. So those who are lucky enough can leave these countries and come to countries like the UK. But when they come to the UK, they're still not safe. And that's why Micro Rainbow exists. What used to happen was that a gay man from Uganda, for example, would arrive to the UK and would be placed in a house with other people from Uganda who were seeking asylum as well. Now, imagine living in a country where you face a lot of homophobia and find yourself in a small house or flat with the people that you tried to escape from. As a result of that, many people were abused, beaten up, and even raped in the UK. And that is what prompted us to create the first ever safe housing scheme in the UK for LGBTQI people who flee persecution. So this is just one of the barriers that people face once they arrive in a country like the UK. When they are back home, the challenges that they face is not only persecution by the government, but also discrimination and violence by their community and even their own families who might reject them and leave them destitute. Many live on the streets, cannot find employment, and are destined to live in poverty. In countries like the UK, the asylum process, it's a very, very tough process for everyone, and especially for those who are LGBTQI. For once, for example, if you just to look at one small thing, if you are LGBTQI, you need to prove to the government that you are really who you say you are. So if you are heterosexual, imagine to prove to me that you're really heterosexual. Or if you are gay, how can I really prove to an official that I am truly who I say I am? And then the list of challenges continues from poverty. People in the UK are not allowed to work when they claim asylum, and they can only live with a subsistence of £40, which is about $50 a week. And they have to use that to buy food, clothing, medicine, transport, and anything you can think of, which is clearly not enough to survive in any Western country. And then the challenges continue in terms of social isolation. As a difference from other people who might flee persecution, LGBTQI asylum seekers and refugees are particularly isolated. And that's because of a couple of things. The first one is that they haven't got the support of their ethnic communities in the UK, which are normally the first point of call for support for other refugees. And that's because, first of all, they fear being abused by their ethnic communities in the UK. We have an example of a lesbian from Uganda whose room was set on fire when the community found out that she was lesbian. They also fear that if people from their community find out about their LGBTQI status, and if they are refused asylum, they are sent back to their country, they will face increased risk of violence and persecution. And the last thing that is really problematic is honor killing. Those who come to the UK still have family back home, they have brothers and sisters. And if they come from a country where honor killing is still practiced, people back home could be hurt and even killed in a way to clean the family name just because they found out that their siblings or family members are LGBTQI. And then the challenges continue, like all the challenges that you mentioned a little bit, integrating in a new country where you don't know the culture, where, the job environment is different, where you might not even speak the language to the level that might allow you to find employment. So this is why I'm really, really proud of Micro Rainbow, because we are able to look at the needs of LGBTQI people fleeing persecution, starting from their need for safety in housing. And it is crucial. We see people that when they come to a Micro Rainbow safe house, they start blossoming, they start exploring their LGBTQ identity, they start exploring with clothing, with makeup, with mannerism, with language. And it is for many of them the very first time that they have even been so close to other people who are LGBTQI. I remember there was one of our beneficiaries that she kept her clothes and high heels locked in a suitcase because she was fearing that other people might abuse her if they found out that she wanted to, that she's a trans woman. And it was very beautiful when she came to a Micro Rainbow safe house to watch her unlock the suitcase, and take all the clothes out, and start exploring and having fun with who she really, really is.
It must be like a really moving and beautiful experience to see people really blossoming, right? I think this is the best statement for the importance of community, right? I think we only feel safe once we are close to really our peers. And this is how we start to understand that it's really a turning point, I believe, in everyone's
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
Yes, no, it is, because in some languages, there isn't even a positive word to describe people like me, people who are gay or LGBTQI. So the power of being in a country where you're not going to be killed or tortured or imprisoned, coupled with being surrounded uh, with people that, you don't have to explain who you are, that just get it, makes people's confidence and self-esteem grow, which is also a danger, because all of this happens while they claim refugee status in the UK. So they start learning to express themselves and to live their true selves, which is in a way beautiful. But that the danger is that if they are refused asylum and sent back home, that they might be at risk of increased persecution, because once you let go and you are who you are, it's very difficult to go back and to put up all the barriers that we have learned to build to protect ourselves growing up.
Wow. Yeah, let's use this as a hook to talk more about what you guys have been doing, right? You mentioned the housing project, and now you're bringing up other aspects that I think you're helping people to navigate through. So, what are the programs or the help that you're able to offer to those that reach Micro Rainbow?
Well, we say that the safe housing scheme is crucial, but it's not enough. Having a safe place where you can sleep and live, it's really, really important. But then there are other needs that we look to fulfill, and every person is different. So our programs have all of our programs have a variety of entry points that allow people to really meet their own personal needs. The second program after safe housing is social inclusion. With social inclusion, we mean it's about creating social safety nets. It's about creating a community around people who don't have a community at all. It's about bringing LGBTQI people together to be of support to each other, and also to learn from each other as they go through the asylum process. Our social inclusion program includes body dance classes, creative writing, yoga, mindfulness, and we try to support people to build those skills, those life skills that they desperately need to cope with past trauma and with stress and anxiety. The majority of people we work with have been through some form of trauma. Women, especially, most of our beneficiaries will have had some form of sexual violence. So trauma is very common for the people we support, and building these opportunities where people can reclaim power over their bodies, for example, through the body movement program, or where they can really learn how to manage the anxiety and the stress that they might feel when they relive some of the moments that cause them trauma. It's really essential. And then the third program, which completes our holistic approach to integration, it's a program that looks at people's needs in terms of employability, education, and anything that is about their fulfilling their full potential. So we talk about having CV workshops or how to create a LinkedIn profile. We have been supporting more than 100 people who left Afghanistan since the Taliban came back to Kabul. And for them, for example, the way they find jobs in Afghanistan is mostly through word of mouth. There isn't, LinkedIn is not as popular, or the more formal ways of finding employment are not in the same as they are in the UK. So for them, accessing all these workshops and classes is really essential to move on with their lives. And as we like to say, to fulfill their full potential in life. We are also seeing more young people coming to the UK who flee persecution. And that's partly, I don't have strong data on this, but my sense is that, with social media being more popular everywhere in the world, with more role models being accessible online, that LGBTQI people tend to come out younger and younger to their families and communities, which it's a huge risk because they do that before they're financially independent and before they completed their studies. So really, for many of them, the only option is to leave. And for a lot of the young people that we support, thinking about education, what to do at university, how to access a student's loan, it's really crucial for them to be able to start really exploring who they want to be in their lives.
Well, I think this is all really a vital perspective to think of a life fully, right? It's not just about, I guess I said, housing, it's the start. You need to build
Yes.
up the person. And it's really wonderful to see that you are able to go so far, really, because your programs, they do seem holistic in so many different levels, like boosting confidence, boosting identity, regaining control of your body. I think this is something that we take lightly usually in life. Only when you are faced with this challenge, your being, your present is a question, is something that people will really question, that we stop to think. So again, wonderful, wonderful work, Sebastian. I'm really glad to see it happening. And now, Sebastian, thinking about all this great work that you guys are doing, what is your vision for the future? What would be the next steps for you guys in the future?
Well, this is a very exciting question because when we started our safe housing program 5 years ago, we started with a very small flat that had 2 bedrooms. And now we have a capacity of 30,000 bed nights a year. So we think we are half the way through meeting the full demand for safe housing for LGBTQI people fleeing persecution. And just very recently, we have launched our next challenge, which is eradicating homelessness and violence of LGBTQI people fleeing persecution by 2030. So we are now working to double the capacity of safe housing, and we believe that we can do it. We are already halfway through, and we are committed to really eradicate an issue that we discovered by consulting with our beneficiaries. We started MicroRainbow 12 years ago, but it was only 7 years ago that we really uncovered the issue of homelessness because it was a hidden issue. There was a lot of stigma and a shame around it, and our own beneficiaries were not sharing a lot about it. So a few years on, we have made huge progress. And eradicating homelessness will mean that there won't be any more anyone else who comes to the UK after having fled persecution. There will be no one who will then arrive to the UK and be abused and beaten up again. So eradicating homelessness also means that those who might not have been fortunate enough to be born in a country where being yourself is legal will find a safe haven, really, as soon as they arrive to the UK, where we can, walk the journey together with them. And as we grow our our housing program, we will also grow in parallel our social inclusion and employability program. So really our hopes for the future is to make sure that for as long as it is needed, that LGBTQI people fleeing persecution who come to the UK will be supported by MicroRainbow.
I think this is a beautiful, beautiful vision, and I'm looking forward that you guys actually get there. And I think with this, the last question needs to be, how can we get involved? How our listeners, everyone watching us right now, can get involved with MicroRainbow and help you guys out?
There's so many ways that people can support our work. For anyone listening, please go to microrainbow.org /donate, I think, or you will find the donate button on our website. And there you will find several ways to support us. One of them, which I love, is we have an Amazon wish list. So you can send a toaster or a saucepan or a pillow to our safe houses, and someone who has fled persecution will receive your gift. And those items are really essential for us to keep doing our work. So that's a very practical way that you can do to know that you actually bought a toaster for someone. And if you want to support our work more consistently, we have an allyship scheme. People can become an ally with as little as $10 a month. And that will ensure our sustainability and help us do the work that we do for as long as it is needed. But we also have volunteering opportunities. So if you speak foreign languages and you want to be an interpreter for us, reach out. We are always looking for Arabic speakers or Kurdish or many languages, actually most of the languages in the world. So feel free to reach out. And if you are in the UK and you work for a corporate, we have various opportunities for corporate days where you can come with your colleagues and run an employability workshop, or you can do a fundraiser at your home for us. So the opportunities to support us and the work that we do are many. But most of all, I think if you're listening today and you didn't know about this, it will give us great pleasure if you could tell at least another person, one more person about us and about our work, because we believe that raising awareness is really, really important. There are still many people who don't know that being yourself is a crime, that people can be killed just for being who you are. And we need to change these narratives. We need to raise awareness and join our social media. You will have plenty of opportunities to reshare and make sure that your followers know about the challenges and the opportunities that we can offer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for joining us today. This was a wonderful conversation, and we are happy to help you guys spread the word about this.
Thank you, Danny. It was a great pleasure to be here and to talk with you. And I hope that there will be many LGBTQI organizations to follow after this one.
I hope hope so too. It will, it will, it will. We're going to work towards that. And for everyone listening, also, thank you so much for joining once again. And remember, if you enjoyed this episode, press subscribe on YouTube or in a podcast app, because that shows the algorithms that this is a highly important conversation. And then we can spread the word about the importance of the work that Micro Rainbow is doing. Remember, go to their page, learn more, and as Sebastian said, talk to someone else. If that's the only thing that you can do, it's already a lot. So help us out, spread the word, and I see you in the next episode. Bye.